Hello and welcome to another episode of And What Have You. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the game Super Meat Boy. Now, to those familiar with the game, you may say, hey, there's not that much to talk about. And you would be right. So, in this episode, we're going to start a new series. A quickie series to jack your movie sucks term. Basically, this series is going to be me reviewing games or movies that don't merit full critiques, but I still think merit a review. It'll take about 3 to 5 minutes for each episode, and we'll cover the basics of it. So Super Meat Boy, what is it? Super Meat Boy is a game made by the same crew that made The Binding of Isaac. It was their first major breakout hit, one of the biggest indie games of the late 2000s, best known for being an incredibly difficult platformer, and that reputation still stands up. Its characters are very simple. There's a square-ish character with legs and arms and a couple teeth named Super Meat Boy. He's made out of raw meat, as the name would suggest, and thus, in the game, slides and leaves trails of blood on everything he walks on. He's our protagonist. The antagonist is a fetus in a bottle in a robot suit in a suit, as in a literal tailor-made suit. This character hates Super Meat Boy basically because he's happy and thus endeavors to make his life difficult. The third supporting character is Bandage Girl, Super Meat Boy's recently discovered girlfriend, a girl made entirely out of bandages who looks a good bit like Super Meat Boy, except without the bloody trails. In the game, Dr. Fetus steals her away. The story, simplistic as it is, basically being original Mario, evil character steals princess-type character, good character must save her by overcoming platforming challenges, is told through basic animations, or very simplistic 2D drawings with an interesting style to them. It's best described as like slightly moving comic book frames. So it'll jump from frame to frame, right? Like characters in one position, then in another position. But in these frames, the characters move very slightly, and it looks very much alive. The style is very simplistic, with a lot of solid colors and solid lines, and it ends up expressing the story with no words very effectively. It comes across very clearly, and the player knows exactly what is happening and why they're doing what they're doing. Besides, in a game like this, the story is secondary. Now on to the main topic, which is, of course, the gameplay. Super Meat Boy is renowned for incredible difficulty. Sadly, for all modern players, this does in fact stand up. It's a very simple, at heart, 2D platform, where your main character slides a little, can move very fast, and can jump. And can control his jumps in mid-air to a certain degree, fall down quicker or slower, control his arc, etc. Problem is that pretty much everything kills you, and it gets worse the longer the game goes. In the first levels, it's just souls, stationary ones. Then some of them swing, like pendulums. Then some of them swing around in circles. Then some of them move back and forth. And then some of them get shot at you out of machines. And that's just the first world. There's several of these. The second world integrates a new mechanic. Syringes and medical detritus. It takes place in an abandoned hospital, so you have to jump over massive piles of syringes that make up the majority of the ground. There's very few safe areas. You have to move very quickly, because if you don't, you will often die. And it leads to a requirement of very precise platforming. You have to land exactly where you intend to, and you have to jump almost immediately again. Overall, though, it comes across as pretty fair, pretty consistent, and fun once you best it. It's in the same vein as Dark Souls. It's hard, but once you beat it, you feel accomplished and have more fun than you otherwise would have. The only major problem with it is a problem that comes with a lot of high-precision games. It's not that there's less skill to them, it's that it promotes a weaker type of skill. Rather than promoting the skill that platformers are supposed to, seeing where you should go and executing precise jumps in real time to get there, it promotes sort of a rote style of gameplay. You memorize the key presses that you have to press in certain orders at which times, and just basically become a script. It's like you had programmed something to run the level for you. You press left for this amount of time, then jump, then run, then jump off this, then jump off that in this direction. It becomes more rote than dynamic. It's still a form of skill, but sadly it's a little bit inferior. The game doesn't have to be played that way, but it does promote it, which I find to be a weakness. Overall though, the game is very effective. It's simple, it's fun, it's hard. Super Meat Boy is a good game. It gets a solid 7 out of 10. Go ahead and play it if you haven't.